Welcome to the Snobs podcast.
That's right. It's Tuesday night. And what more do you want, people? Episode 368 of the Snobs podcast. We are here. We're back. We're back to our weekly format. I missed you guys so much. I did. But even though I was here pretty much every week doing reviews of movies, and I did a couple of podcast episodes in between network special episodes technically, but we still counted them in the mix. It is what it is. So let's continue. I'm Mick Manhattan, your host, and joining me today, you might remember from such movies as Alice Doesn't Live Here or Jaws, but not that Jaws. and movies like Duel, the first and last time he worked with Steven Spielberg. Mr. Roy Loud. How are you, Roy?
I'm doing okay, I suppose.
For anybody who has not seen Roy on the show before, this is basically my brother. He is my best friend for years. We went to college together. We worked in the film industry. Him much longer, for years. And you might remember him from some powerhouse stuff, but I'm not going to talk about that because this is my show. All right, it wasn't called Garth's World. No, but thank you so much, Roy, filling in for Paul. Paul is killing it with his with work right now, and he needs so much needed time of relaxation. So thank you, Paul. Keep killing it, and we will get you back on real soon. And Roy is helping me out this week, maybe more if I can get him to come on and help me out some more. That's just direct. I'm just going to go direct.
All right. Let's do it.
So, Roy, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and what all of those guitars are behind you?
These are all guitars, except for this one is a mandolin. And
so is it Captain Corelli's?
I got an acoustic and I got a couple of and then this mandolin that I got at a garage sale.
Did Nicolas Cage sell it to you?
Yes, actually, it might have the Constitution in there, the Declaration of Independence. Sorry, I forgot which founding document.
I love how little you care about Nicolas Cage, even though he's my favorite actor of all time. How little you care about Nicolas Cage that you got the movie reference wrong. He was in Captain Corelli's Mandolin.
I have.
It's Italian, I understand. No, I'm just dude. A mandolin. I've never actually move your head. I've never actually seen one in person, and I'm still not actually.
Yeah, you still haven't seen it in person. It's still through a camera.
Okay, touche. We went to film school.
Yes. Allegedly.
Oh my god. And I feel like, you know what bothers me the most about that is the film school we went to seems like it's doing so much more now.
Oh yes, it is. We went and got a tour last summer actually.
Oh, how did that go?
It was kind of cool seeing some of the stuff they have now, but it was like this stuff they didn't have it when we were here.
No, I'm afraid to, because I was going to take a tour too, like because kids and I and Mary were going to all go down to Florida, and I was like, all right, let's maybe take a tour of my college. But I'm like, here's the thing: we've been writing the screenplay, even though I've been kind of pulled away for a little while, and that's my bad. But kind of getting back into things, and it's just like dipping your toes and looking at things technically, and getting back into filmmaking. There's so many. It's so different from when I left.
There's so much more now.
I feel like, you know how you watch those movies and it's like the young ace kid who brings the technology into it, but then you've got like the old guy who like, I can cut some corners here. I know what to do here. I'm the old guy now. Mm-hmm. Whereas we used to be the young guy.
Used to
be the pinnacle of what technology was. What was it? What was the camera you had? The HVX?
HVX 200, yes. I still have it.
Camera. That was a very good.
I haven't pulled it out of that box in like 15 years. Actually, no. Well, like 7 years.
It's crazy to me that phones have better lenses on them now.
Like I can shoot like 4K video with this, and then that thing in the case in the other room shot 1920, and that was top of the line at the time.
Oh my god! Remember the P cards?
The P2 cards, yeah.
Oh my. Dude, that was
that's like now
it's we don't even use flash drives anymore. Like oh my god.
I think it says 32 gig. Oh, this one's like a 256 gig. But yeah, like
there's 2 terabyte
that
drives.
was like this big. The P2 card was like this big, And
and you had to have more because like they only had 16 gigabytes on each
yeah,
card.
like 16. I think 16 gig was, at least at the time I bought it, was the biggest.
They didn't
one you
have
could
much
get.
more, no.
And then, yeah, I think they came out with like 32 phones later, but
Keep in mind when we're talking about this, the cell phones in our pockets, like I think I had a Sidekick.
yep, I had a Razor. I had a Motorola
Yes.
Razor flip phone.
Oh my God, we were so old in the industry.
And I remember your ringtone was Paper Plane. Every time I hear that song come on, I think, oh, Kimball's got a phone call.
Oh my God. Remember when we used to put ringtones on things, on everybody's thing? And now my phone never goes to off silent.
Yeah, mine's just silent all the time.
If I get a phone call, I will not pick up.
Mm-hmm.
I will call you back if I want to.
That's what I love that with the with it nowadays. Like now they've added where it can give you a text readout of what the voicemail is as it's coming in. So you don't even have to listen to it. You can just read it and be like, no, I'm not calling you back.
Oh my God, yes. I love those too. I think I have that voice text readout. But it's so good. Like it's so much fun to be antisocial at our age now.
Well, yeah, I mean it really is kind of a weird thing with our age, how we had this childhood, the analog childhood and a digital adulthood. And everybody who came before us pretty much had like a mostly analog life, and then they got older and they could adopt some of the digital stuff. But like the kids that come after us, it's like it's all digital. And like I don't know, it's just like we're this weird transitional generation.
We were the weird generation that became digital, switched over to digital, and had to teach digital to the generations. And look how that's turning out. We shouldn't have taught them anything. Just kept it to ourselves, but like, we'll take care of it.
No. Trust me. You do not want to know how this shit works.
See, we're not millennials. We're handoff generation. We just hand shit off.
We were the early adopter generation.
Oh God. And that's the weird part about millennials is like we're broken up into 3 parts. It's like those weird, like if you were born in this part of the 80s, you saw some shit. If you saw, whether it be Vietnam movies, Too Late at Night or something. And then if you were born from like the late 80s into the early 90s, like you got the participation trophy. Maybe even in like 95. After that, you were a little more digital, like you're going into Gen Z territory. Kind of cool, whatever.
But still,
I don't really know how it works with them now.
that they could have very faint memories of pre 9/11 life. And
oh my God, man,
that is such a big
dude. And our generation we saw like a huge turning point of the technology or the information era coming in and that digital. But then we had 9/11, and then we had the recession in 2008, the housing bubble, everything burst, and then we had COVID, and now we have this. When I said embrace absurdity, I didn't like. I mean, yeah, I guess it's not my fault. Somebody went with it.
Yeah.
But yay, we at least we got like Jurassic Park.
Well, now we have Jurassic World.
Well, Scarlett Johansson. I see her in anything. I love Scarlett Johansson.
Is Scarlett Johansson in those?
She's gonna be in the new one.
We got a Black Widow versus the Velociraptor. She's gonna like take him down, like kick him, and
I like her in movies. Like they're not all winners. Like I like her in movies. Like there's certain actors that I find comforting to watch. You know what? Because I saw Black Bag and I'll be reviewing it later. But Michael Fassbender, comforting to watch him. Like when I watch him in movies, it's never like I don't leave having a bad time or like it's even if it's not a great movie. Like I feel like I got a good performance out of it. You know what I mean? Yeah, there's a handful of actors that do that. I like, God, man, nothing you've ever worked on. That's or we can go to mine. Zombies. Strippers versus zombies.
Forgot about that. I didn't even work on that one. That was one where I just heard stories.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a fun time. Or Second Coming. That was a fun time. I had that was like my second feature to work on. And from a technical standpoint, I learned so much. The movie, Learn nothing from the movie except that tinnitus is a real thing. Nobody who's watching or listening right now has any idea what we're talking about. Go find it. So I implore you to find these movies and go and see me walk up a flight of stairs, which I did 72 times.
You can actually see throughout the scene he's losing weight.
It was Florida.
50 pounds lighter.
Were you there when you were there when I yelled to Amanda Bynes?
No,
oh,
I wasn't. I didn't work on that one either. That white.
I was going to class at the time, and she was walking, and I was like, "Hey, yo, are you Amanda Bynes?" I just yelled. Her security's looking at me. She goes, "Yeah." Like, awesome. Have a good day. I just left. Spoke to no one on set.
What was that movie called? Something White and the Seven Dorks?
Sydney White and
Sydney White.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my God, that was a trip too.
Yeah.
But I miss it. I do want to take the tour, but at the same time, I'm a little. It's like I feel like it's when Cap woke up in Marvel. So for the Zers out there listening, I feel like it's when Cap was like on. They had to like bring him back in by like putting him in a old-timey hospital room with the game on and stuff. They had to like prepare me for it. Oh, dude. I don't know what's brought me back more is I was thinking about LA because I was on TikTok. And so it was one of those F around and find out ones that are going around now. And like somebody was complaining about losing something. And then it just immediately switched to this woman like eating In-N-Out. And I was like, God damn. And I don't know what she said. Now all I want is In-N-Out. So I started playing the music as you came in, and it just got me thinking about getting myself jazzed up. And James is here. I'm gonna say, hey James, thank you for joining. And Radar, what's up, buddy? I miss you, pal. Haven't seen you in but yeah, we're back. We're live again. We're hanging out. We're gonna be talking some movie stuff. Well, okay, so let me pull up my notes here. So I did some research last year. Like out of the top 20 movies, I think one of them was Wicked. Was an original movie. It wasn't what
Wicked.
Well, maybe not an original movie, but wasn't a sequel or a prequel.
But Wicked
is a spin-off or something. No, it's not.
Wicked.
It's not connected to Wizard of Oz. It's not. It's I don't know why I said not like. It's
still an
now I can't say it right
though, and there's characters. It's a new story about characters we didn't know that much about.
Okay. So, I think they're trying to give the benefit of the doubt that it's not a sequel, but you're right.
Yeah.
But for the most part, like 90% of them were sequels or prequels or spin-offs of something. Mm-hmm. And people were pissed. Movie fans were pissed. They were like, why do we have no original?
Hasn't this been happening for years?
Yes, of course. But it's bubbling now because everybody's mad about everything. So so when it came out, people I think started taking notice because like people like me who sit here and flabbergast about, movies all day long, we bitch about it. Like, well, we want original content. But here's the thing. I know I want original content. That's why I span out into a little thing I like to call indie films. And you're always going to get original content out there. Trust me. You're going to get some stuff that's completely blatant ripoffs too. And that stuff we worked on in our careers at times. But you're going to get some original stuff for sure. And now here's where I have a bone to pick with people. They were bitching about it. They were really going hard on why is there no original anymore? So I wanted to see what the top grossing movies from this weekend were. And like wanted to see, because there's a lot of original stuff coming out. Novocaine, Black Bag, Mickey 17. And there's a lot of original stuff that has come out. And nobody's going to see it. Mm-hmm. Nobody's going to the theater to see it now. Or granted, we're almost in a recession. And it's a little tough. But they're going to see stuff. So I want to get like opinion, kind of get a little discussion going and our opinions on it. But what do you think? Is there a happy medium? What do we do here? Like, because now this stuff is going to fail, not make its budgets back. And we already have a hard enough time for indie filmmakers to get any type of backing or anything going on there. How can we make the indie world flourish more? Tell me the answer now.
All right.
What I thought here, racial differences notwithstanding, was a couple of Californians ready. If anybody knows that quote, say it in the comments.
I mean, well, one thing that comes to mind is that I've heard for rumor. My wife works in the industry. She talks to people. Is that there have been a lot of green lights for independent stuff. That it seems that what might be coming down the pipe here in the next year is instead of like 10 or 12 giant movies, they're gonna break that up into making a lot more lower budget movies instead of
I see what okay, so I see what you, so like just kind of break it up into just make more of the really lower budget ones.
Mm-hmm.
I love that though.
Yeah, and kind of like letting kind of taking the leash off and saying we're gonna let people kind of do some like the last I think 3 projects she's worked on have been independent.
It has to be because we're not even sustaining in like this big, Marvel's not sustaining making their movies that quickly anymore, and like we're still waiting on Superman to come out, which is kicking off DC. So like all these big platforms. When was the last time we got a Star Wars project in the movie theater? So I feel like the franchises are starting to flounder a bit, which might be good too.
Yeah, well, one of the things they've done too is they kind of, we all know they kind of oversaturated everything, and now like in addition to movies, they're making series. And I used to enjoy with Marvel. I could go see like 2 or 3 movies a year, and they were always chronological. If you saw the last one, kind of this. Oh, there's that little wink, nod, Easter egg kind of thing over here, and it was fun to see those things. But now it's like there's so much stuff, and I can't keep up with it. I think I watched Loki season 1 and 2. I didn't watch WandaVision. We started watching Agnes. Like we watched the Winter Soldier, or the Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
I like that one. I like the ground.
We watched that one, and we watched Hawkeye. But like Moon Knight, I think we had a hard time getting into it. It was kind of out there, and it's like there's just so much of this stuff that. And Star Wars has become the same way. Like there's so much of it that I fall behind, and you have to be following every week to see the new episodes. It's not like you could just go see one movie. So they tried something different, and I don't think it's bad what they did. I just think they committed too hard to the series and expecting everybody to watch every single piece of media to be able to follow along what's going on with everything.
It's hard enough just watching the news and trying to follow around what's going on. So I definitely get it with that. And it's like an oversaturation, which I thought would actually bring an influx of indie films. And I'm hoping you're right. It's coming down the pipe. I just haven't heard much because of everything. I've been paying attention to like South by Southwest. And, that's usually the festivals where, I'll keep it until I got to go in depth, but I haven't heard much since the strike, about like picking up, but like, I would love to see like more money kind of like fanned out, maybe like $5-10 million projects, get some new filmmakers, new blood in there who can come in and kind of wow us. I will say this, I have been seeing some this year in terms of fun indie films that have been coming out. And Companion was one. That was good. Jack Quaid and Sophie Thatcher. I liked Hard Eyes was good. Dark Match I enjoyed. That's a really low budget one. And what was the other? Oh, One of Them Days was a really good movie. That was one of my favorites of this year. The Last Showgirl was really good. And we'll get to the rest that are for tonight later, but might as well save some for that. I do want to ask for you, Joe. I've seen sort of an influx and like a change in maybe towards action more, where we're seeing a lot of practical effects kind of come back. One of them was Stunt Guy, things like that, Fall Guy, but Love Hurts was one that just came out recently that was really good. A lot of practical, not just stunts, but effects that were playing out. And I just watched one for tonight, Novocaine, which was like specific. Like if you're a gore fan, we'll get into it later, but like if you might appreciate this. But it's a comedy. It's a fun movie. It's like exaggerated, but I enjoy it. You're a visual effects guy. How do you feel about I kind of like the shift back to a practical sort of side of that. How do you feel about that?
One of the things about it is that there's this there's a tendency in the industry to kind of blame us for when things look bad. No, we're not the ones approving the final shot. And what has kind of formulated out of that is this, oh, look, we're doing everything practically. Look at all this stuff we're doing practically. We're still doing tons of stuff. It's just that they might do a stunt practically, but there's like going to be green screens in it and wire paint out, all kinds of stuff that we augment. We do invisible effects all over every like stuff you haven't even seen. Like one of the last things I worked on in my job before I got laid off was on the Bear. I think it was season 2 of the Bear. And this is just an example of something. There's a scene where some characters are smoking, like smoking pot, and they're passing back and forth. And there's no smoke. I added all the smoke.
Nice.
And it's like that was an example of a shot where
I got one for you that I know you did because you showed me frame by frame. Was the NCIS one, the scene where they're walking off the helicopter on the aircraft carrier? This is years ago. God damn, that was so early on.
Yes.
Well, just to tell everybody else, so like it basically was the two characters from I forget, Gibbs and somebody else. I can't remember who. They're walking off of like it's either a battleship or an aircraft carrier. It was a helicopter at land, and they're walking towards the camera to go off frame. And it's them on a green screen, and you by layer, by the end of it, and it was on TV. I remember seeing it. Looked like they were on an aircraft carrier walking away from a helicopter. People were walking around them. The ocean was going like. I was like, it's crazy. I didn't like working in the industry. I didn't even realize with visual effects how far it goes. Mm-hmm. Now I do.
Yeah.
Because like Marvel proves that.
There's a lot of stuff that now one of the popular things they use this on the new Star Trek shows is they'll have this big projection screen behind the actors.
Yeah, it's called a hologram. It's called a holodeck.
What's that?
It's called a holodeck.
Well,
technically,
but it's a big projection screen. But it's like a real time thing using something like Unreal or Unity, and they'll have this background, but then it'll be tied to the position of the camera. So if the camera moves, that projected, even though it's a flat wall, it will parallax, with the camera. It'll make it look like there's depth to it.
Yeah.
And actually, that was one of the things we saw at Full Sail. They have one of those set up. But I mean, it still takes a lot of what we're doing, but it reworked to be actively done in camera on set, and that then I wouldn't have to do the green screen at the end, which I would much prefer. It looks better. It definitely looks better. Nice. But then there's times we have to correct things that weren't working right on set all the time. But I think did I go off on a tangent? I can't.
No. But right along with you with that projector. It's interesting you say that because I follow a filmmaker. This guy is genius. Like we can talk theory and we can talk about filmmaking. Like if you show us something, we can show you how to get there. Like how it was made. Like what they might have used. But there are filmmakers out there who are like magic, dude. And this Blake Ritter guy is one of them, and he will show you how to make different shots, light different shots, things like that, especially if you're on a budget and stuff, and it really is just wonderful to watch because that's the interesting stuff, in my opinion. Me with cinematography, like that's the real interesting stuff. Well, he did one today where he had the flat screen TV and there was a young lady and she was kneeling down on 2 pillows in front of it, and the camera, she was dead on, kind of how we are right now, and on the TV was the subway car moving, and it took up the whole frame. So it's like her sitting there, and he's blowing her hair with like I don't know, some type of like I want to say it was a hairdryer or something, but I don't know. And it's like kind of looking like it's blowing her hair as the train comes by.
It was dead on, like a low budget rear project setup.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but I liked that. I thought that was an interesting take on it, and that is and it looked good because he showed you when it's lit like this, and that it looks legit. I suggest go following him.
And that's what's so cool about some of this stuff, like the projector thing with Star Trek, is they've been using these like simpler versions of the same thing, but the same gist of it with rear projection stuff. They've been using that for since like the 50s and 60s. They're having the big movie screen behind it while they're driving a car, because they didn't have green screen back then. That's how they did it. But like you have
Remember when I worked film a full frame? It was a documentary film festival. It was in North Carolina years ago. But like all of their shows was on rear projected screen.
Oh, okay.
And that's like we were projectionists, so like we were sitting back there working on it, and I just thought it was very interesting. And yeah, I could see it being used. Like it was the same rear projection you're going to use for something, a setup like this.
Yeah, I was going to bring up two classic examples. What I really love was one was in Superman when Superman flies away, and then we move in, and it's like it didn't necessarily have to be rear projection, but they used it to do the double of Christopher Reeve, where Superman flies away, and then we go into the apartment, and Clark Kent comes in with the whole glasses and suit. And then one of the other good ones was in Alien, when the dropship crashes, and they did that all rear projection, like the ship tumbling toward them and everything. That's all rear projection, and they're running from a big movie screen.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. I'm going to go back and rewatch both of them because I want to see that, especially with Clark Kent coming in. That's got to be an interesting rear projection to kind of pull that off. Mm-hmm. I love that. Oh, dude, what was that movie? Oh, okay, so it's Darby O'Gill and the Little People. I need you to watch this movie. It's from the '60s. It's a Disney movie. But I did go back and I read a lot about how they did it. And it was a lot of it was practical. Mm-hmm. Everything was mostly in camera. But there's like like with the leprechauns and like forced perspective, they built like things. It's very cool if you could check it out. But there's something I would love to get your opinion on, and that's the Banshees and sort of how the way it feels like it's rear projected, but in a negative space, if that makes sense. Like they might change the color. I would love for you to check it out. Maybe give me your best guesstimate, but I'll send you the name of the movie afterwards. But that was one that always kind of threw me, and I think I showed you once years and years ago. Is what it is.
I hope a look.
I'm going to just start sending you all my visual effects things. Just like, tell me what happened. I am enjoying sort of this surge of I don't know, like practical and in an action setting. Mm-hmm. Like it is just a lot of fun to see like the more violent of it played out. Like it's almost like we're getting the cool kung fu movies and how the sound in those made you feel. Mm-hmm. But now we're seeing it practically. So that's the best way I think I know how to say it. But speaking on which, we spoke a lot about indie films, and I think I asked you to do it. It's okay if you didn't. But I wanted to do our top 5.
Okay.
Top 5 indie movies. That's right. We're gonna. I think that those are a little bit of a signal. But yeah, I'm super excited. Like me, I usually put parameters on this. This is just my top 5 indie movies that have always left a huge impression, and I still watch. They're still part of like the rotation whenever I go. But let's start with number 5. Joe, did you do a top 5?
I didn't do a top 5. I don't think you asked me to.
I forgot to ask, and this will go so much faster now.
I'll disagree with your top 5.
No, fair enough. So number 5 on my list is Clerks. Absolutely blew me away. As a Jersey kid, learning that this guy who had the same background basically as me in comic books, being a geek, watching movies left and right, TV, just like engorging myself in pop culture. He's Kevin Smith. It's just the man. And Clerks came out at a time when I was 13, maybe 14, and I saw it. I remember seeing it on VHS, and it blew me away, man. And it was so recognizable because that was my home state, and I knew these people. I grew up with these people. I understood what they were talking about here. But being able to see it as a movie blew me away. It was like, yes, I already knew from Jurassic Park I wanted to make movies, but Clerks showed me the way. That is not a Frampton reference. So it is a Kids in the Hall reference.
Yeah. Is that a Kids in the Hall reference on my podcast?
Good, damn right. We only reference Kids in the Hall, Saturday Night Live, from the late 80s to the early 90s. Old millennials. I want to get a song for that and just be like, older millennials. There you go. I just did it. That's the song.
Sometimes they call us Xennials, like very early 80s. Like
I'm not doing that. So number 4 on my top 5 indie movies is Brick. I love this movie, man. This is a wonderful film noir set in a high school starring Joseph Gordon-Levitt, but everybody talks like it's an old film noir from the 40s. I love it. Also a great character as the principal by Richard Roundtree, who played Shaft. You should know that. Shut up. I was talking to America, not you. Number 3 on my list, Reservoir Dogs. I don't care what you say. I love Quentin. I love Tarantino's just whole movie. Like his filmmaking just blows me away. Everything he's written, everything he's done. It's just interesting to me as a filmmaker. And genuinely, like, this movie was a sort of like Clerks in that sense. Like, it didn't show me that like I could get out of my life of crime and become a filmmaker or anything. But no, as a kid though, it showed me that. Again, whereas with Clerks, I can make an indie movie and it looked and like I can make any indie movie is basically what Clerks showed me. I can just make a movie. Tarantino showed me like you can be a brilliant filmmaker even when you're in. And that, of course, Robert Rodriguez is one of those two, but I like this movie was definitely going on this list. I love this. So number 2, you'll appreciate this one if you haven't seen it. It's from 2018. 2 brothers did it. It's called Cosmos. It was done for $5,000 over the course of 5 years, made by 2 brothers. That was the only crew. There was a cast of 3 characters, and it is a thrilling action movie where there's no real action, and the thrills. This is not me trying to undersell it by any means. You have to watch this movie. First of all, it looks spectacular. It's one of the best looking, cleanest films, and it's about 3 astronomers. Like they go out and they just do like we do, like with movie shit, but like they do geek shit, like astronomy. Like it's good stuff. Like there's good geek stuff, and there's bad geek stuff. This is good geek stuff. This is astronomy and stuff like that. So they go out and they get readings on stuff. I'm not going to pretend to know. I don't pretend. Listen, I'm not the side that pretends to know everything.
Okay.
It's like Neil deGrasse Tyson, but they go out and like look at stuff, figure that out.
But what like is that? Was that it was just like
no?
Kinda...
So no, I wasn't even getting. I was still trying to explain what they are.
Okay.
that's what stops me, right? So they're astronomers that go out for kicks on the side. That's where I'm not getting it. That's where it's like you did this all day and now you're doing it. Okay. So like they have like a little club where they go out on side and they like record things out in space. Well, they record what do you call it? Like the life, the possibility of life, what could be a sound that's never been heard before, and they record a bit of it, but their battery's running out and they can't save it. So they have to race to get to saving it. I'm underselling this amazing movie, and all I want
I kind of like the premise.
I think you're gonna love it. I think it will become one of your most favorites because it really, like, it's on my list. Like, I love that movie.
Okay.
And like seriously, like everybody go check this out. I'm sorry I oversold it, undersold it, however it is, but like it really is worth it. It's so good. And it just to see these 3 friends, and like again, they're not fighting, it's not like aliens are invading, it's nothing like that. They're just trying to save the greatest find in human history. And it's just the fact that they have to get out there and like they lose the keys at one point and they have to race to get to it's so good, and it's a feature and it doesn't feel like it. Anyway, I'm going to number 1. I've talked about a million times. It will always be number 1 in my heart. Night of the Living Dead. I love that movie. It's not my favorite movie of all time, but it's up there. Romero's a genius, and it's connected again to my filmmaking. It was Romero who talked me into going to film school at Full Sail. So there's come around full circle. Come around full circle with 2 movies. Well, actually, I'm connected to the other 2 movies too, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'm not going to take the focus away from Joe. Anyway, let's review our first movie. That's right. We're going to review The Electric State. And by we, I mean me, because Joe didn't watch it. And I don't blame him, because out of 5, I give this one a 1. What is The Electric State? It is a movie that takes place in an alternate reality, 1997, where the world's humans and robots went to war with each other. But it wasn't like a Skynet type war. It was legit, like just like Chuck E. Cheese robots fighting humans and winning. Like Mr. Peanut leads the robot rebellion. and then humans create like this hive mind thing, Stanley Tucci anyway, and then he creates like remote control, remote. So work from home robots. He creates work from home robots. So all the robots go out and live life, and everybody else just basically everybody else is becoming what? What's that other movie? Ready Player One. God, this movie steals from everything.
I was gonna ask. It sounds like Ready Player One plus Five Nights at Freddy's or something.
It's made by the Russos, who directed Infinity War and Endgame. But they honestly, in my opinion, they haven't been smashing them out of the park since. They made The Gray Man. Like producers, they produced some good stuff.
They worked on Community too.
They did. Well, no, I'm talking about after, and like you would expect like nothing but hits. Kind of like when Chris Nolan came off Batman, it was like he was hitting dinger after dinger out of the park, and he still is. I mean, just the Odyssey. My ass is already in the chair. I'm ready. You know what? My ass is not ready in the chair to watch ever again. The Electric State. This movie was terrible. I don't know what they were thinking. It was so heavy-handed propaganda-wise. Like, it just, what they're trying to say here. Like, the robots sort of get cordoned off and sent to the desert to live in like a no man land. Like that was part of the treaty. You're not allowed to have robots anywhere, except you still have the work from home robots that everybody controls with their hands. And then like Millie Bobby Brown's character lost her brother, but he's not dead. Now he's a robot. And she has to go with the robot to save the brother, but first she has to go see a doctor. This is legit it, and I'm trying to tell you as much as I can so you don't have to suffer through it. It's just not a good movie. That's it. I'm just so deflated by this. I just did not have any fun with it. Now, did it look terrible? No. It was kind of... I can't even like lie and say like it was kind of cool to see Mr. Peanut. Like I didn't care. There's no point of me that cared like about all like the recognizable, and they had a lot of them. Like I don't know. I'm just kind of over it. Right, let's go to the next review. Thanks for watching this. So whether you watch, listen, or it's a clip, appreciate you. Stick around. We're going to talk about, I don't normally do this, but we're going to review tonight a comedy special. And the reason I don't normally do this is because I'm never going to review comedy. Okay. Like I review comedy movies, but comedians are a whole different beast, and I'm not going to mess. I give this one a 3.5 though. I did want to kind of review it and say like, Bill Burr is like sort of like I don't think he's doing it on purpose. I don't think he's like pontificating or jumping on anything, but like, it's like he's taking on the mantle of what George Carlin did. Mm-hmm. And let me tell you, that's important. Now that you look back to George Carlin and everything he said over his career, and it's like, wow, we really didn't listen to this like at all. He was saying it from the beginning, and he was a force. People knew George Carlin. Now Bill Burr is sort of taking that on, and I'm loving it. And it's not like, oh, he's blue now. It's like he will give it to everybody because that's where it needs to go. But yeah, I did really appreciated this one. And one thing I really liked about it is as a guy who's been working on his trauma for a while now and still continuing to try and do it, he really spoke out to that. And he really spoke out to like why, and it spoke to me. Like I recognized everything he was saying. I'm like, holy crap, I feel like we might be brothers, not him and Billy Corgan. Geez, like we have a very similar upbringing. And, the way he was talking about it, how he's been working on himself, I thought that was a really important part of it. He does it in such a funny way, that funny Bill Burr way. So you are going to enjoy it all the way through. But I gave this a 3.5. I thought he killed it. He's really bringing to light a lot of things. But most of all, he's really bringing to light mental health with men and like what we need to work on as men with our trauma and stuff like that to get to a better place and be better people. So I got to give him credit for that. So 3.5 out of 5 for me. I really enjoyed this. Joe, did you see this one?
I have not.
You should check it out.
I tend to just watch the same stuff over again because I know I like it.
Okay, so what is the same stuff? Like, what would you?
Hold
on to that. Let me get out of this one real quick. Let's review the movies real quick, and then I want to hear what you get into.
Sure.
I want Joe Schmo to tell me what's on average TV.
So what? Yeah.
I don't know. But watch Bill Burr streaming over on Hulu. I thought it was funny. But thank you for watching this if you're watching as a clip. All right. Novocaine. I just watched this today, and I had fun with it. Gave it a 3 out of 5. Novocaine tells the story of a young man who has a disease that I cannot pretend to know. I don't remember what he said. It was very easy what he says, Sipa, whatever. He cannot feel any pain.
Okay.
So he has to live his life in this way where like he has to wear an alarm to remind him to go to the bathroom. Like every time it goes off, he's got because he has no feeling. He feels nothing. But so he falls in love with this young lady who works at the bank that he does. When it gets robbed, they kidnap her, and he goes after her. So he tears through this whole town trying to find these kidnappers and save her. And he's not a superhero. He just can't feel pain. So it's kind of him just trying to figure it out and fight his way through it when he can, but like really getting damaged along the way. It's pretty wild. Jack Quaid pulls it off. Like here's the thing. Jack Quaid looks like his dad, and his dad's a good looking guy. His dad's crazy as all can be. His dad's as crazy as his uncle. So that's saying something. But Jack Quaid has his father's charisma and his father's looks at the same time, having his mother's looks as well previously, and completely his mother's adorability, because this guy can smile his dad's smile, but his eyes look like his mom, and it just is crazy.
Who is his mom?
Meg Ryan.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they were married before Russell Crowe. Remember?
No,
I'm totally I hope
know.
he doesn't watch this review.
I don't follow like who was married to who.
That's fair. Well, yeah. So that's his parents, and yeah, he kills it. He's a charming guy. And like in this, he's a very charming guy, but it's not that he's getting his ass kicked. He's just getting hurt over and over and over again and not feeling kind of continuing on. It does go on. I will say this. It is a good movie. I had a lot of fun with it. It drags on for a while. The whole movie ties in really well. The story is pretty good. And like every connection that they kind of build on all throughout really works. Like they call back to, they'll come back to things that you saw earlier that you're like, oh, that's right, I forgot that happened. But it plays in perfectly with what's happening. It's almost like they tried to stretch out about 10 minutes more than they should have. The villains, which you didn't really build up that much, the twist and stuff, like you sort of like didn't really play into it that well, and then like kind of stretched on it. His parts were really good. You should have left it sort of like that, like sort of like a John Wick, but not like this nerdy John Wick type going through, almost like a video game, like have them go through the levels to fight the different bad guys, which they do, but they drag it out. That's my only thing. Like I want to make that my point. And that's where it really kind of took me out of it a little bit. Like I kind of started looking at the clock a little bit, like how much longer in this movie before I can go. But overall, if you're going to sit at home and watch this, I think you really enjoy it. It's 3 out of 5. I know it kind of differs from like the topic earlier about like, are we going to go see the movies? I do think like renting it counts. So like if you want to rent it, you should definitely and support indie when you can. But go to the theater if you want. It was fun. It's a fun movie. But I want to get to this one because I had our next review of Black Bag. Listen, Soderbergh, you're 2 for 2 in 2025, man. I loved Present and I loved Black Bag. And for me, when you watch Soderbergh, I think we were talking about filmmaking earlier. He has always been such an experimental film. He loves like a voyeuristic type of view in things. But like really, like I love when he experiments with certain things. And in this, he absolutely does that. Black Bag tells the tale of spies in the British MI6. I don't think they ever explicitly say MI6, but they are British spies, and it all takes place within Britain, in their building, or at their homes and such. Basically, a very important thing, a MacGuffin, was stolen and is trying to be sold off to the Russians as a weapon. And one of them is a mole. One of these 6 spies is a mole. And one guy is brought on, Michael Fassbender's character. He's like an elite spy who can investigate anything and figure it out. He investigates spies and like can figure anything out. The problem is, out of these spies, one of them may be his wife. So like it brings that element into it. It's intriguing. I feel like this is Soderbergh's answer to if he was making a James Bond. Would this work as a James Bond movie? Absolutely not. Even though it has James Bond in it, Pierce Brosnan's in it, and it has Naomi Harris, who played Moneypenny. All of them are brilliant in this. This is a great cast. Cate Blanchett and Michael Fassbender completely knock it out of the park with their performances. I had such a great time with this movie. I will watch this again. The intrigue, the thrill. It's very contained. And I've talked about this before with Soderbergh. He's a very contained filmmaker. He likes to keep to, location-wise, I don't think he likes to go out too crazy. You know, like again, like the casino, and you know, it's Vegas, and then it all kind of builds in on things. And it's almost like that in reverse, like with Contagion, you know, and stuff like that. Like it builds out. Like he's very good about placing people, and he's on, you know, in certain spots, and he's doing this like he's kind of like not mimicking, but maybe doing homages to certain filmmakers. And I will definitely say Black Bag is an homage to the old spy movies, especially from like the 70s. But like James Bond it has a heavy influence in this. But then you go back to movies like he just came out, Presence, which is his version of a horror movie. It's a ghost story, all contained to this house through the point of view of the ghost. He is a great filmmaker in that sense. And like this was a movie that I think will be on my top 10 at the end of the year. It really stuck with me. And I went with my wife, and she walked out and had a bit of a different opinion. And I'll share that too, because she said, I think I would have enjoyed this more at home. I didn't enjoy it in the theater as much, just because like she was trying to catch on to like a lot of what they're saying, because it is very, very dialogue heavy. But 4 out of 5, man. I thought everything about this was just really good. And if you kind of let yourself get into it and realize this is an old-fashioned sort of spy drama, don't get mixed in and expect like giant explosions and all this stuff. That's not what this is. This is an old-fashioned, like, think All the President's Men, stuff like that.
Okay.
Like, I like that tone. And that, you know, Black Bag was a good one. So, and it was a really good examination of relationships, you know, and how trust plays into it and stuff like that. So very cool character study in that as well. But you're watching this as a clip or any other time, we're getting to the next one, and that is Mickey 17. I'm very excited to talk about this one. I love Mickey. Another one that was 4 out of 5 for me. This might be my favorite that I've seen in the past week. Mickey 17 tells the tale of Robert Pattinson. This is a Bong Joon-ho film. He directed Parasite, The Host, you know, others. If you haven't seen his work, you absolutely should. Another filmmaker that really just chews up the space he's filming in, and he really utilizes everything that he's used, like everything that's in the frame. He's utilizing everything, and I attribute that to Soderbergh, who we were talking about before. But this was such a good one. This was like, this tells the tale, like, so Robert Pattinson plays a guy named Mickey. Him and his buddy get into some trouble, so they decide to sign up for this great excursion to another planet on this colony sort of ship, and it's led by like Mark Ruffalo. He's like it's almost like a crazy exaggerated televangelist figure, and like kind of fits the mold of a lot of different things. Like you can tell just by his look and the way he's acting. There's a lot of dictators in there and a lot of evangelists, which are all the same thing. So a lot of that stuff is it's all the same, or cult leaders, things like that. Like it works. Toni Collette plays her like completely self-centered, but like super Tammy Faye type wife in this. It's fantastic. But then everybody else like gets like assigned certain levels, like some are security, some are this, some are that. And Mickey is an expendable. And what that means, he's the only expendable. What that means is he is used for science experiments or to check things or to do this, that, and the other thing, because he can die. And what they'll do is they will reprint a body, that's exact copy, and then download his memories. Now, as you can tell by the title, Mickey 17, they get pretty far down the line, and they do it in such a really clever and interesting way. And I'm not going to spoil or take anything away from you guys. I think you should go check this out and see it in theaters, because again, the scope and everything that's in frame, this is a sci-fi movie. So the backdrop is always alive, and there's a huge sci-fi element into it. And I want you to keep in mind when you watch it and you see certain creatures and things like that, and like the VFX, and I got the man right here. The VFX may seem not as pristine, like you can tell they're VFX, but it is it like looks very similar to like how you would see in other Korean films and such. And now I may be speaking out of turn, but that's what I was drawing from it, like a certain type of look to the visual effects. And I actually I appreciated that about. And if you get a chance to check this out, Joe, I'd love to hear your opinion on it and the creatures that you show. But
I was definitely interested in this one. I just haven't gotten to see it.
I think you will, and I can't wait to hear what you think. But I thoroughly enjoyed this one. Mickey 17 again implies that they get to the 17th one. He doesn't die, and then 18th is printed, and that is illegal in their society. They can't be duplicates. So it becomes like sort of a comedy of errors after that. but done in such a wonderful way, because you start to see that maybe as they get printed out, the personalities change, because there's two very different types of personalities between 17 and 18. And Pattinson knocked it out of the park with this. He is, say what you will about Twilight or whatever, every movie I've seen him in besides those has been fantastic, and more so with his performance, honestly. But I had such a good time with this movie. This is another great win for the director, another great win for Pattinson, in my opinion. Like, this is one I think everybody should go see and go check out in theaters. I absolutely loved it, for sure. But yeah, that's my review of Mickey 17. And now it's time for Mick's movie pick. 1991 is what I'm at. Thelma and Louise. We're doing Women's Appreciation Month for classic movies starring women or telling tales of women that are women empowerment, and things like that. I know I'm saying this wrong, but it's 10 o'clock. I'm tired. But this is my choice for this week. I did Dreamgirls the week before and All About Eve. You can go check those out as well. But 1991, Thelma and Louise. It's a great story. This is a really good movie. It's directed by Ridley Scott. Stars Harvey Keitel as well as Susan Sarandon, Gina Davis, Michael Madsen's in this, Christopher McDonald, who you might remember as Shooter McGavin. He plays like a rotten character in it. Brad Pitt's early role. And you can find all this out by tomorrow, coming back to the Scene Snobs podcast after you hit subscribe and watching it on our classic film review, Thelma and Louise, where we have some behind-the-scenes stuff and more. And that's not all, Joe, because you're also going to get to see on Thursday our continuation of the James Bond movies with Skyfall. And we're nearing to an end because on Friday, you'll have Spectre. That's right. You go and get all the behind-the-scenes. Just make sure you hit subscribe. I had a little fun with it. But it's good to be back, man. And I did that in a tight hour, man. I still have a little time. I'm not rushing off, but like, I didn't think I'd get all those done in that time. I did.
Just over an hour.
I'm still a pro. But man, what were you gonna? So you were gonna tell me earlier about. I stopped you. What were you gonna tell me?
Well, just that I tend to just, when I watch stuff, I just put on stuff I've watched before a lot, because I remember in college it was like I was surrounded by people who were like, "Oh, dude, you got to check this one out," and then we would sit down and we watch the movie, and I would see stuff that I never would have seen. Like I saw The Host in the theater with Jeremy back then. And I probably never would have bothered to go see that movie if it wasn't for him. But now, like, my wife kind of watches whatever comes her way that it sort of hits the right notes. She'll watch all like the Hallmark kind of crap,
Yeah.
But I don't know if snobbish is the right word. Just cautious about wasting my time watching stuff that I don't like, I guess.
I think I'm in a different world than you right now.
I don't know what it was. I just
Gave up.
Well, kinda, yeah.
Surrendered.
I mean, there'll be times when, like, 5 years after a movie comes out, like Hereditary, I think came out like 2018 or something like that.
Yeah.
I think, and I watched it in like 2023, I think, and it's sort of like, okay, this is 5 years later. People are still talking that this is good. I'll check it out. But like, I probably wouldn't have. I would not. Obviously, I didn't. I didn't check it out when it first came out, because it's like I feel like I need time. Like,
yeah, I get that. You don't want to jump in feet first. Like, I go in feet first.
The best of the best comes to the top, and then I end up like I've just completed what I think is like my 10th rewatch of Breaking Bad, the entire series.
You're a maniac, dude. You're a maniac.
I watch Kids in the Hall all the time.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
God, I love Kids in the Hall. I started showing Tommy some Kids in the Hall.
Mm.
Oh God, there's.
I want to show it to my daughter, but like, there's part of me that was like, I watched this stuff. I watched this stuff when I was her age.
He's 13 now. How old is Sarah?
Sarah is 10.
Yeah, I don't know if I would have shown him at 10.
Yeah, but like I'm trying to think, when was Kids in the Hall on Comedy Central? And I think that would have been like 94, 95, 96. I mean, the show ended in 94. So it's probably like 90, 95, 96, 97.
There's a season in there that's pretty dark. The Canadians
they all kept their times when they've gotten pretty dark.
They definitely did, dude. And listen, I'm there for it.
But like, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I want to show it to her, and I'm like, when I was watching it was edited for television. This is something I was talking to my parents about and they're like, "Oh, you're gonna show her that?" I'm like, I watched Predator and Terminator and Total Recall, all this stuff at 9, 10, 11 years old because it was on TV. It was edited for television.
Yeah.
But the concept is there, and like that's I mean, this could be a whole we could talk for a whole hour about this idea, but like to me it's sort of like the idea of if somebody, like the guy gets his Michael Ironside gets his arms chopped off at the end. So it's implied when you see the edited for television version of it, still implied what happened. You're picturing it in your head what happened. They're just not showing the stub as he's falling, and the bloody arms. It's like, to me, I think it was like it happens whether you show it to me or not. I understood what happened, and so like anyway, I
don't know. Like, I'm with you. I'm kind of with you on it. I think there's a time where you like I'm a big proponent for, like, when it comes to showing kids certain things, like exposing kids to certain movies too early, I think is a product of the parents wanting to connect with their kids on that something they loved.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's not harmful. Like, I'm not talking like a doctor here, but like harmful in a way to what I like to call the movie upbringing for children. I think you need to space it out. Like, there has to be certain age ranges to introduce certain things. And I don't think it's necessarily based on ratings or what's in it and stuff. I think it's based on the personality of the kid and kind of as you go on, because there are things that I saw when I was a teenager that I'm rewatching again now with fresh eyes, and I understand them so much more. And I almost I kind of wish I waited. Like I rush just to watch.
Yeah, there's that's been a lot, like especially over the last like 15 years. I've been rewatching movies and like catching things that I didn't like. I never understood what they were talking about there. Now I do.
Yeah,
stuff like that all the time. I'm seeing stuff like it. I don't just rush out to show her whatever.
No, I don't think you do. But for the broader audience,
I kind of like, I do want to show her stuff. This past Halloween we did a Scream marathon. We let her watch the Scream movies because they're kind of over the top. And they're not super duper gory, like there's blood and there's a couple scenes where there's guts, but for the most part you can tell it's just that Tatum, when her head gets squished in the garage door, you can tell
it's not her.
It's and that itself was like a send up of the classic horror movies of the decades prior to that. And actually, after all that, she wanted to see The Thing, and I'm like, okay, we can watch The Thing, because even then, that movie is not. It's all about the gross out creatures. It's not really gory,
I honestly, I think it's going to be different for you guys. Like, it's different for me. Like, I'm not in the game anymore. I can talk about it and I can explain things, and I think my kids have that understanding of that disassociation of like what's real and not, which I don't think most households do. But mommy and daddy both work in the industry, like, so when she's seeing this stuff, it's like that's work. That's what mommy and daddy do. So like my kids, I show them stuff, they're just kind of like, so I'm like, oh, great, whatever. No, that's not true. The young one and I just rewatched all the James Bonds, and he's loved it. There are some things that should be edited on television. It's actually not as bad as you would think. It's more racist than it. I don't say that lightly, but like Sean Connery, man, he had some odd choice words there sometimes.
Yeah, or he's like in Asian face.
They make him Japanese. I swear to God, go watch the movie. It's You Only Live Twice. They make him Japanese. In the movie, then they make him marry a Japanese woman. I wish I was kidding.
Breakfast at Tiffany's.
But the first line of the movie, that's what he does, right? Like, they make him Japanese. That was the whole thing. He's going undercover. They're going to surgically make him Japanese. I wish I was kidding.
I think they surgically.
I'm laughing at the absurdity of it.
It's like in Star Trek with having the Klingon ridges in the hair.
Yeah, yes. But they make him Japanese. But the point of that, and I keep saying it, is because the first line in that movie is, I love Chinese women. They just taste different. It's so bug, but like that's what I'm talking. That was the level of what you were getting.
What is it? What's the difference? Is it like
I don't know.
or something?
I have no idea. I'm not pretending to know. But it sure as hell was something that exists. And he said it. That's the first line in the movie. Now, mind you, he is in Shanghai. That, I guess, that's what they said. Making out with a Chinese woman, and he says that as the first line. By the end of the movie, they've made him Japanese. He has married a Japanese woman because that's what you have to do if you become Japanese. That's what it says. That was the rule they said in the movie. Not me. And then he does something. I'm not going to give it all up. Check it out. But it is a pretty odd scenario. You know what's even weirder, though? I guess changing him back to British fucked it all up because the next movie, it's not even Connery.
Is that...
That's Lazenby's right after.
Because it's Dr. No, From Russia with Love.
Mm-hmm. I can tell you, I just watched every single one of them.
Goldfinger and Thunderball.
Yep. You Only Live Twice comes after that.
Are you sure? I thought the Lazenby one was
69 was the Lazenby one. 67 was You Only Live Twice. Then, and so Lazenby was On Her Majesty's Secret Service 69, and 71 Connery came back for Diamonds Are Forever.
Yeah, but isn't Diamonds Are Forever like a remake of Thunderball?
No, Never Say Never Again. Which was done separate from the franchise, was a remake of Thunderball.
Yeah.
They bought the rights. So Warner Brothers bought the rights to the book.
Yeah.
Thunderball. But they couldn't call it Thunderball because they bought those rights with the movie. So they called it Never Say Never Again because he said after Diamonds Are Forever, he would never play James Bond again. But it is him playing James Bond and everyone's in it. And it's like, it's weird. They like rewrote it into him. He's just an old man now trying to like get back into it. Kim Basinger's in it. It's a wild ride. It's not as good as the original Thunder. And after that, I don't know.
I remember GoldenEye was what got me into Bond.
GoldenEye was good. GoldenEye was the first time.
GoldenEye is a good movie. And the thing about it was, I remember when it came out, and I, as a kid, I thought it was a remake because there was Goldfinger and there was Man with the Golden Gun.
That was a good one too.
I thought they were just they're remaking it now with a new actor. I didn't realize it was just they were just making it.
No, it was Ian Fleming was trying to tell us that people who strive for gold are bad, and we should be forewarned.
Correct. Should have listened.
Just listen to James.
And then in the next one, Tomorrow Never Dies.
Well, here's the thing. So I just watched all of them, like I said, because we're doing it on Popcorn and Pints, and I did my own classic reviews. So I've seen them all, but a lot of them were first-time watches for me, and GoldenEye was one.
Oh, really?
I'd never seen. I had seen Tomorrow Never Dies, and I had seen Die Another Day, and I hadn't seen the two. I hadn't seen GoldenEye or the one in between, World Is Not Enough. So I have to say, if you watch the Timothy Dalton James Bond and then watch GoldenEye right after, they match up really well.
Yeah.
It makes sense. He kind of looks like the Timothy Dalton version. And then when you get past that, it seems like they go more towards Connery. But that's why I think GoldenEye is the best version out of all of those. And Dalton is very close.
I need to go back and do another marathon myself. Like all of the Roger Moore ones and the Timothy Dalton ones are like they're all those types of movies where I have bits and pieces of them on TV throughout the years, but I don't think I've ever actually sat down and watched any of those. I know I've watched the Sean Connery ones. I've watched the Pierce Brosnan one. I've not watched the most recent couple of Daniel.
They're worth it. I would. But here's the thing. Like, I don't think people are going to appreciate the most recent ones with Daniel Craig because there's so many callbacks to the original James Bond movies. Those were they're fun action movies that you can watch, like the Bourne movies, stuff like that, for just fans of people who don't really care about the James Bond factor. But if you're a James Bond fan and now having rewatched everything, I have so much more of an appreciation of what they were building there. I will tell you, Roger Moore is my favorite Bond. And I think everybody should check. Like, I think people kind of sell him short and don't watch all of his.
Didn't he do like 14 of them or something? Or
he did 7 of them.
7.
Live and Let Die, The Man with the Golden Gun, The Spy Who Loved Me, Moonraker, For Your Eyes Only, Octopussy, and A View to a Kill. Which, by the way, has a great villain in Christopher Walken, but is bullshit with its title because A View to a Kill is stupid. That's a dumb thing. That shouldn't be the title. but the title of the book is From a View to a Kill. That makes so much more sense. Why wouldn't you just leave from, why would you screw with it like that? Or name it something different. Blimp at the Golden Gate Bridge. There you go. People will go see it. It makes no sense, but it's there.
Let's go the Friends route. Say the one with Christopher Walken.
Live and Let Die is like my favorite.
Yeah,
I love that.
Is it just because Paul McCartney did the theme?
No, the movie's just great.
Okay.
It's just like a really good movie. Yaphet Kotto's the villain in it, and there's like this whole black syndicate. Like all black communities are working together in this syndicate, and I don't 100% know what they were doing. Because they're not like they weren't out to kill white people, which you would think like that might be what they're. I mean, I don't blame them. Like, I get it. It was the 70s. This is going off the rails.
Is that the one with the witch doctor?
Yes, but that plays. There's a reason for it. Like, it's so smart. It's so well done, and I love the movie. But I think it's the only time Americans are the villains in James Bond, and that's not okay.
It should be. It should be more often.
Yeah, I mean, I think we need to pick up on it a little bit more. Yeah. So I just enjoyed the ride. I know I went off on a tangent there, and I'm sorry, but it's true. Like it was, and honestly, they were way more prepared as a syndicate than any other. Spectre sucks. Spectre is always screwing up. Spectre always messes up. Like James Bond really had to press his luck. Like that's his superpower, is his luck. So he really had to press his luck in that one because he was not prepared for that fight. Like they were just so well organized as a syndicate, like the whole group, like the way they were doing it, because like it would travel down. He had to go from New York to, I think it was San Monique. Is it San Monique was the island that they had to go to, and then back to Louisiana. Lots of jet globetrotting around there, and some very cool stuff. Yeah. Anyway, I love Live and Let Die. That's my favorite one, and it's Roger Moore's first one. So
okay. So
check that one out.
So it was all downhill from there.
Listen, no, because they're all good. Like, well, Moonraker's tough. You know what's weird though? Moonraker is based like.
Isn't Moonraker like what's really happening now in the real world?
You're not wrong. I will say this, that if you were to take Project 2025 and line it up to the plots of all the James Bond films, there's not much difference.
Oh god.
And I'm almost certain that maybe if you were going to find the missing piece to 2025, like past the James Bond movies, it's probably the Cobra Commander Manifesto. Like it's
like they want to make all of the volcanoes erupt all at the same time.
Like they just came out in a new, like, you laugh. Like if sharks and volcanoes get introduced, you know something's up, because there's sharks in a lot of those movies. But volcanoes, they just said one is like may erupt soon in Alaska, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I bet they're trying to clean it out so they can build a lair. Just saying, man, it's possible.
Now I'm thinking of the Deep Space Nine episode when Bashir is in the holosuite doing the James Bond kind of parody thing.
With what's his name?
Well, and then there's like a transporter accident where all of the patterns of the character of the other crew get put into the holosuite. So like they're playing it like Captain Sisko is the main villain, like the Dr. No kind of character. And I think that's what his plan was, is he wanted to like send a nuke or something into a volcano and cause all of the world's volcanoes to erupt and melt the ice caps and cause it to flood, and that he was on the top of Everest and it was going to be like the only place that wasn't going to be underwater. It's so just comically over the top. Like, why?
Even the James Bond parodies are so funny.
Just be the only one here.
I said that. I think I tweeted or something. No, I didn't tweet. I'm off. Blue skied. I blue skidded. I think I tweeted that where I was just like, this isn't genius masterminds. This is mean girls trying to be Bond villains. And it is. It is. Like, the more I think about it, and I started to discover a pattern in the news. When something's going to happen overnight, some proclamation is going to be said, some tweet is going to be made, some True Socials be posted. And when it's something positive in Trump's favor, like he won his own fucking golf tournament that has his name on it, what two vibes match? That and that one where it's like from Mr. Mom, where it's like, he's the boss. If you want your wife to have a job, you better let him win. Like, like it's just that type of vibe. I won the tournament. I'm the best. Like, okay,
I'm
great.
picturing Napoleon in Bill and Ted when he like when they're bowling and he's like cheating.
Yep. We're dictators. So you get to it, and like I'm watching this, and I'm like, so when something like that is tweeted, or something that shines a positive, or like, hey, I'm gonna completely, pardons are completely devoided now, like stuff like that, where it's like I'm making a proclamation. Like when it's something good, the next day they're gonna say something to devastate and really put shock and awe. When it's something bad, like I'm taking pardons away and blah blah blah, whatever, the next day they get smashed down in court or by other means and are completely like lose on all fronts. So I'm noticing this pattern here. I actually read 2025, so I hope most of you would too. But
Yeah.
I do appreciate all the gish galloping I received when I was like, and when I sent it to people, I was like, we need to read this. You need to be aware. And I sent it to a lot of people. And most of those people that were gish galloping me, yelling at me like, you read it, claim to read the Bible all the time.
Yeah.
The Bible is like 1,100 pages, give or take. This was like 960 something, give or take. Like, so
they read the occasional verse of something that affirms their previously.
It doesn't even affirm. It doesn't even affirm. They don't even say them right. They don't even like quote it right. They just write it down on something else and be like, no, that's the exact quote. It's like, do you like? God. Anyway, yeah, that's where we're at. I don't even want to talk about the Bond villains. Talk about my girl AOC leading it, kicking butt. Bernie Sanders out there. That's what I like. Take care of the people. Yeah, all people. Just take care of the people. I love it. But we're gonna get out of here. We've been here long enough. Yeah. Back again. Roy may be back next week. I might have to try and talk him into it. There's gonna have to be some coupling. We'll have to figure it out. It's gonna be weird, but while we get ready, I want you to enjoy this pratfall, Dan Falling. But remember, before we go, you need to be kind to yourselves. You need to take care of yourselves, take care of your mental health. It's important. Go find better help, things like that. There's people out there who want to help you with anything you're going through. This is a lot and a shock to a lot of systems, and a lot of people are hitting hard times, and I see it and I talk to people, and it's craziness. So please take care of yourself. Okay. We will get through this. It will happen. We are a very strong nation going through a tough time right now. And we're not giving the Statue of Liberty back. 100%, no way. First of all, it's been like 9 weeks. Calm down, France. All right? I don't mean I realize it's supposed to be a sign-off, but like, calm down, France. I'm sorry you're pissy because Agent Orange won't shut up. But like, seriously. You're mad at just America? Like, I grew up every day for years looking at that thing. It was in my city, like Jersey City. Like, that's where it was. 1 Communipaw Avenue, the Statue of Liberty. And you want to take it back because this dude was mean he's been mean to all of us. There was 4 years where he was mean, and now he's back. And you want to take it back?
I mean, they didn't ask for it back the first time.
Yeah. You let us keep it then. You were like, you'll get through this shit.
Figured it'd be like one and done, which I thought it'd be one and done too. But here we are.
Listen, we're here regardless. You can deal with 4 years. Remember a little thing called WW2? I'm not gonna get indignant there. There's way too many Yahtzees running around to get really indignant about that part. But which I don't get. I don't understand most things, dude. I don't understand. We have people yachtseeing running around here like a base that follows our president. Like, and I'm not talking about like he is our president. It's an accepted thing. He is. But they follow him like he's their god. And they're yachtseeing all over the place. Not that. That was just my hand. Not that. But they're doing that all over the place. And like Israel's just cool with them.
Dude, we're in complete
Like, don't even get
clown world.
Roy can tell you about the Russian stuff. That's got my blood boiling. I'm a Cold War kid. But what?
I mean, that's like I've tried to talk to like family about that, and it's like remember those guys who were the bad guys and everything?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like now and then it was like we're supposed to be friends with them, right? Well, actually. They were like crossing their fingers behind their back and saying like, well, we'll pretend to be friends with them, but we'll secretly be undermining everything they and eventually it has like come to fruition. This was supposed to be a sign off.
So France, in no small words, I just want to say you can't have it back right now. I'm not going to say never. I want to see where this goes first.
We'll see how the midterms.
But you got to at least give us a couple of years to see and sift through this stuff. All right, there's been some wins in the court. Thank you to the judges. Thank you, Judge Roberts, today. Please keep it up. Amy Berry and Coney Barrett the other day. You know,
I mean, I keep hoping that it's like
please be heroes.
Don't really think that they owe him anything. They might be useful for the agenda in general, but like that they're not going to have the loyalty to him specifically that he thinks they will have.
We'll see. I just hope that, like, listen, if it's within the letter of the law, I'm not like if the dude turned around tomorrow and was like, all right, we're gonna right the ship. I've had a change of hearts. Elon's gone.
I mean, I totally agree. Like if like I have no particular I do think that he's a terrible person, but if he decided, if he had like a night before a Christmas Carol scenario.
I prayed for that during Christmas, dude. I prayed. I was like, please.
Woke up one day and realized, whoa, I suck. This is all bad. Undo all of this. We're gonna everything Kamala Harris was gonna do. We're gonna do it like times 10. We're gonna forget all of this. And then I'll be like, oh, wait, what? Okay, now I'll fly a Trump flag right now,
dude. Why not?
It's about what he's doing, not the person.
Again, and I will even give the benefit of the doubt of like because he's in control. So like if he was like to just legit change things completely, I don't even know. Like there's a lot of things to fix, but like if he were to do it and be like, we're going to write it, we're going to fix everything as soon as possible, get everybody back to work, do what we got to do, really get in there, really efficiently go through everything and not just cut programs and all this stuff, fix DEI because that was just abysmal and everything you're doing, especially to veterans is a nightmare. But regardless, if you step back in and you were like, I'm going to right the ship and change everything and whatever, and like you can make your base believe you're the savior that you are, but you're doing it altruistically, trying to help, trying to go out on top because you say you believe in Jesus, but obviously you don't want to meet him. But so I don't really know what's going to happen with that, but you really could fix everything. Elon will be happy because the economy will go back and then maybe, well, I don't think anybody.
I mean,
I think that one's done. That's a one and done. He might need to buy into something else.
It's even like deeper with like why JD Vance is there in the first place. And you got Peter Thiel connection, and
I know, but like if he were just to turn around and be like, "You're all out. We're not doing this anymore. We're fixing stuff. It's gonna be bipartisan. We're gonna get everybody together," and he fixed, he made it perfect, and he was truly a unifying president. He could go down after the first 4 years and after the last 9 weeks if he did that now and just for the next 4 years tried to make everything work where we're all brought together. He could go down as the greatest president of all time, where people truly, like they were with Jimmy Carter, like heartbroken when he dies. Mm-hmm. Like we'd put his name on airports. We would put his name. He loves that shit. We would put his name on libraries. We would put his name on buildings. If he were even to do that, to try and fix things without causing chaos, destruction, or going on this revenge tour, if he were just to write things in the next 46 months, 46 months, where it's to make it as good as it could be. Are you kidding me? Instead, we're irrevocably changing everything. It's gonna be Blade Runner by the end of this. What I want to know what the Christians thought when they were like the really racist white nationalist Christians that put this all together. And one is with the face makeup. You look insane. Like the press secretary, everybody's wearing face makeup now. It's almost, oh my God.
It's like Fox News. It's all taken over. It's like the nutty right-wing conspiracy theories, the white replacement crap. It's like I was when I was talking to my dad before about UFOs. He gets into the UFO stuff, and but I tried to explain to him about stuff about like is it the Manhattan no, not Manhattan,
I know it's
MK Ultra, and like the things where they were like the government was legitimately trying to study like things like telekinesis and telepathy and stuff, and trying
uses
to see
of LSD dosing,
and seeing if these things were real. And obviously they weren't. And the scientists, even the scientists of the time, generally were like, you're wasting your money on. But it's like that mentality of being snowed by pseudoscience and just nonsense,
which completely mirrors the Yahtzees and the fact that they were really into the occult and stuff like that as well. It's conspiracy theories. That's how you build people up with this.
Conspiracy theories, like secret knowledge.
And I was fine with it. I was fine with it, dude. You want to go chase ghosts? You want to go chase Bigfoot? You want to go find Loch Ness? Go, do it.
But don't run for. President.
Don't run for president and then write it in as a mandate.
Yeah.
That like, UFOs and all, like, again, I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm not saying this, that, or the other thing. I'm not saying it's not tested, whatever. But don't. It doesn't belong in the White House.
Right.
Unless it's like secrets in the Book of Secrets. National Treasure too.
Well, yeah, and I mean it's always the thing is like, how would you ever prove that? It's like anything that's even a tiny little like, it's always a cover up. It's like there can never be sufficient evidence for these people to get them to understand that this is not what you think it is. Like, unless you come out and you look at what the real science says, like on vaccines, for example, it's like this is all hope. And the one little like Andrew Wakefield paper, that was the actual truth. All of this other mountain of F's not. We ignore all of this.
Oh God.
You can't. I don't know how you crack that.
You can't. People believe that the Earth is flat.
That still baffles me too.
Well, I remember one time I was out to lunch with a couple of guys from work, and we were all sitting around talking. I think we went to Golden Corral or something, and we were talking to one of our buddies from work, and he was talking about how the Earth and Moon, I'm sorry, the Sun and the Moon revolve around the Earth, and I'm like, what? Like, I was dumbfounded. And like legitimately, and like we were kind of like busting his balls a little bit, like, you don't believe that, like there's no way. Then we walked outside, and this back so we're all having a cigarette, we're just talking, and there was like a young woman standing outside. She was smoking too. She I guess worked there or something, and we were like, no, it doesn't. It was we were following. I was like, first of all, the moon doesn't like spin. Like, we had to talk about that. Like,
it does.
Well,
but it spins as fast as it orbits the Earth. It's
yes, but like not like we are spinning in our orbit.
Well, we're spinning, and the moon is orbiting us.
Yes, that's what I mean. Well, that's how I explained it, but I didn't do it so well right now.
The system is orbiting the sun. Yes,
and that's where I was going to the next. Thank you so much. So we were talking about that, and like we're telling, and like the young woman stepped up. She goes, "No, that's wrong," and like believe the same as him. And I was like, "Wait, what?" I was like, at that point, we're like, I can't have this argument with somebody that works here too. Like, we got to go. So we left, and we go back to the office. I will tell you, a higher percentage believed the same as him at the office. And that's where it comes from. It's like, I don't know if it's just misinformation. I don't know. I can't imagine everyone.
Our friend from college who came out as being a flat Earth believer. I don't know if you want to say his name.
I don't want to say anybody's name. I don't want to put anybody out or call anybody.
But yeah, like him having that massive argument with like everybody from college.
I think I ignored that one. I think I was just like, this isn't
still come up. I remember it being memories every year. It's like, oh, look at this memories from 2 years ago. I'm like, oh God, I forgot about that.
I don't argue with flat earthers often, like ever. Like, I don't engage. Like, that's one where I'm just like, I can't get through. No one's getting through to you. This is your life. This is who you are now. And if you find the edge, take the step and see what happens. But at the end of the day, I'm just kind of like that. Like, there are certain conspiracy theories that are so asinine. Because I remember the beginning. I remember when what's his name wrote that paper, and then Jenny McCarthy jumped on it about how
the Andrew
vaccines
Whitfield
create
vaccine thing.
autism and such. And there was no scientific evidence in the paper. There was nothing. There was just a dude who wrote a paper. Who was a doctor.
He took like blood samples without parental consent from kids at a birthday party, and then I mean, it was.
We'd have to go back to it all, but
yeah, it was published and then retracted, and
because I wrote for, I forget who I wrote for at the time, but I wrote an article about that, and I posted it. Well, it was posted, and I caught some flack from some people, and I'm like, it's not true. I was like, I showed you where I got my research, what I'm talking about, like, and it's still like physical or things that, or if you can witness with your own eyes, actual research done. There are still people who just refuse to even believe that. Like you like, there are people who refuse to believe exactly what's real in front of them, and I honestly think there's a dissociation more so now that reality TV is. There's no reality to anything.
Yeah.
So I think it's just like,
there's a lot of this mentality of like reality is whatever you want it to be, you know, that I would watch. I watch MSNBC because I want that reality, and then they watch Fox News because they want that reality, and it's like, well, first of all, I don't watch any of that. No. I try to follow independent journalists and like vloggers, people on YouTube and stuff who I trust to because they have expertise and backgrounds to understand the subjects that they're talking about, and I can't keep up with it anymore. Like I used to like fact check all the time and everything, and it does get to be overwhelming. I genuinely, like, for people who do try to fact check things, it can become very overwhelming, and it can become a very easy shortcut to just kind of like point yourself towards the answer you're looking for.
Yeah, you do, and I see a lot of direct in that. Like you have to go and search out. In fact, you have to question whether what you're reading, like if you're trying to verify something, question it if it's real. Figure out what source you want to go to, and again, stay off the mainstream for sure. Just stay off the mainstream altogether.
Yeah, stay off the mainstream, the main corporate media mainstream. But don't go all the way to the other end in the nutty quack, you know.
But, and for anybody who watches that, whether you're young, old, or whatever, and I know there's a lot of MAGA people out there, and I have talked to them where it's like, I will say, I'll just be like, that's not really how Jesus acted, even though they're invoking Jesus in some way or some passage in some way. And they're just like, I don't care. Trump. And it's like, and I've heard that more often than not. And like, these are the same, people who are out there and like, they just say they don't care, but there are people who do. There are people who are like, they're upset, like they're not connected with their certain family members and stuff anymore. And speaking to you guys, if you're watching Fox News now, again, I'm not saying don't watch Fox News, blah blah blah, and then over here. Well, I will say yes, I will say that, but I'm not a guy who's saying that. And
no,
I'm saying, well, hold on. Let me get my point real quick.
Yeah.
I'm not a guy who's saying don't watch Fox News and then going over and exclusively watching CNN, MSNBC, and all that stuff. I don't watch those either. I like Rachel Maddow. But I don't like, she's only on right now I think for the first 100 days she's on every night, but like I'll check out like news clips of her on YouTube, stuff like that. I'm not gonna watch the channel. I'm not gonna sit there and cycle through. I like Joy Reid. They got rid of her. I don't know if her show's back, but like I've been like, I'll go to their Substacks, I'll read their articles, stuff like that, or I'll go to independent journalists. My point here is when it comes to the people who, again, maybe aren't MAGA, but the Republicans, I get the conservative side. I do grew up conservative. I have certain conservative views. So I get it. I was indoctrinated in it. Catholic, conservative, lived the Christian background. And I don't deny my faith and my spirituality. I deny the religion that I grew up in. Sorry, if the religion shows up in Spotlight, it's probably not a great idea. But to bring it back to movies in some way. But anyway, if you're listening to like a Jesse Waters type or Laura Ingraham and stuff like that, and they're truly shitting on the left, and like I'm not talking about reporting. I'm talking about during the reporting, snidely talking about people on the left, that people believe in certain things, whether you believe in them or not, because they tell you what to believe in. It's a different world. But if you are missing a family member and you're wondering why, and you're like sitting there and you're like, I just don't understand, they've lost their mind. It's not. It's because you are actively listening to people who belittle things they believe in, things they feel, things they identify with. And that's where you have to get it through your heads. You are listening to bullies. When I go to Rachel Maddow, when I go to this, they are not screaming and yelling in the same way. They're not very distant, and I'm not going to take that away. They're trying to frame it now too. But like, that's why I go to the independent journalists. But like, you are being misinformed, because you're being misinformed about people you actually say you care about. And you're just allowing it to happen, saying, yeah, that's probably true. And that's where we say uneducated. We're not saying you don't have degrees. We're not saying that you don't know things. We're not saying you're not clever. We're saying you're uneducated because you're ignorant to what the actual information is coming out. You are not educating yourselves. And that's where it's important. And as one thing I have to thank Donald Trump for throughout all of this, one thing, this man is going to get me an honorary civics degree, because I'm learning everything I can just by what's going on. Economy, civics. And I'm not saying I'm a genius who knew all this stuff, but I'm reading now and I'm learning everything I can. And I'm not just learning it from one thing or this, that, and the other thing. I'm actually in depth going in. I want to understand, why do I want to be upset that they're closing USAID? And now that I know, I am upset. And there's tons others that you're doing it to that I'm like, now I know what's going on. Now I know what's happening here. We had everything line by line where the money was going. You didn't want to check that website before you made your cuts. But thank you for making me a smarter person about all of these things. Thank you so much for that. That's what I will say. And I yield back. So I had to pontificate a little bit, but listen, we're going to hang out some more off camera. You guys have a groovy night. We appreciate you. Thanks for coming back to the Scene Snobs podcast. I'm going to ask one question. Roy, what is Benjamin? If Benjamin was an ice cream flavor, what do you think he would be?
Pralines and dick.
There you have it. I'll see you later, everybody. Thank you. Bah!